What's up guys, Eduardo here, and today's video is all about learning how to straddle press handstand. Now, you don't need a handstand to start working up to the straddle press handstand. That's what this video is all about. If you want to learn a handstand, that's a separate video. This video here is for anyone that wants to just start or has already begun and is stuck on a certain progression. So let's get started.
So you'll start off in the bottom of the squat and you'll place your hands in front of you, about a foot and a half, whatever feels comfortable depending on your limb length. From here, you're going to drop your knees a little bit and brace your abs. You're going to jump your feet up to your hands and you're going to reverse that action by leaning forward, placing your hands by your feet and then jumping them backwards. Once you get comfortable with that motion, you're going to start dragging your feet to your hands. This makes it a lot harder, but more applicable to the straddle press handstand because you're working your compression strength. Make sure to splay out the fingers, keep your arms straight, and your abs nice and tight. For the straight leg frogger, you're going to start on all fours, lift your butt up in the air, and we call this the A-frame position. From here, you're going to lean forward, putting a little bit of pressure on your wrists and coming up on your tippy toes, being extremely light on your toes. From here, very slowly and controlled, try to bring your feet up to your hands. When you get more comfortable with this motion, try it backwards. You're going to do the same thing, lean forward, come up on your toes, and then pull it back. Try to avoid having a lot of distance between your ears and your shoulders. Hide your ears into your shoulders by rounding the upper back and shrugging your shoulders up to your ears. To make this movement harder, you can bring your legs a little bit closer, and the closer they are, the harder it's going to be. So you have to brace the abs a little bit more, put a little bit of pressure on your wrists, come up on your tippy toes, nice and light. From here, you can work it backwards as well, nice and controlled. The elevated straight leg frogger is basically the straight leg frogger with your feet elevated. You can use 2 yoga blocks like I'm using, or you can use 2 books, or some board games if they're equal height, and something that's easily stackable because you might want to add even a few on top of each other. You're performing the same thing. You're shrugging your ears to your shoulders, leaning forward, putting pressure on your wrists, and coming up on your tippy toes, landing nice and soft. To make this more difficult, you can bring your legs closer together or all the way together. This variation is harder because it places more pressure on the upper body and the wrists, and going backwards is even harder to do because you have to compress really hard. So another way to make it harder is elevating the surface by stacking 2 yoga blocks on top of each other or something else. The wall-assisted straddle press handstand is basically the straddle press handstand with your upper back along the wall. And as you roll up, you're rolling one vertebrae at a time into the inverted position and then gradually compressing down, rolling one vertebrae down at a time. Now, the trick here is to pull your legs apart nice and wide, almost cramp up your glutes here, pull them apart, and then as you roll up, you'll go into your inverted position. Start with your hands about a foot and a half away from the wall, depending on your limb length. And you can mess around with the finger position and see what feels most comfortable for you. And if you need a jump to start it, that's okay. Gradually try to jump less and less every time, and then land nice and soft. Enter this movement by performing a cartwheel and land in the handstand position facing the wall. That's just to ensure that you have enough clearance so that when you lose balance, you can bail out of it safely. Have your gaze in between your hands and keep your core nice and tight. Your legs are locked and keep your toes along the wall. From here, you're just going to open up a little bit at a time, trying to get lower as you get better with this movement. Do your best to have very good shoulder positioning. That means shrugging your shoulders up to your ears and don't let them come too far forward. You don't want to get into a planche. Instead, envision your hips stacked on top of your shoulders as much as possible. Not leaning forward will help you keep your shrug as you're performing the movement and will help you just compress more instead of trying to rely more on shoulder strength. So as you split the legs and they get lower, try to roll down one vertebrae at a time and then reverse that action. Your feet might come off the wall, that's okay. Try to hold the handstand for as long as possible and then try to come back on the wall to repeat for more reps. If you do lose balance, just bail out of the position. The partial rep straddle press handstand is a straddle press handstand with your feet elevated, and you're basically dissecting this movement into parts, the parts that you're able to do comfortably. So you can start with your feet elevated, you can roll up one vertebrae at a time into the handstand position, and then roll back down with your feet elevated, and then come back down into that straight leg frogger position with your feet on the floor. Now, if you lose balance, try to control the descent or try to bail out of it nice and easy. Do what you can to compress and stay in the handstand though. Really try to make it a fight. You can lower the elevation to make it harder. Now you'll have to press into the handstand and then try to control it coming down as well. Bail out if you lose balance, or compress to finish the straddle press handstand. Do everything that you've been working towards. Lean forward slightly, round your back, compress your quads to your chest, and pull your feet apart as much as you can. When you're comfortable with these drills, try it for the full straddle press handstand.
If you enjoyed watching this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you want to watch more videos like this one. Until next time.